Let's discuss how Mean Girls contains psychological influence tactics often used in the corporate world. The 2004 movie Mean Girls centers around an American high school and the clique behavior prevalent within it. The group, named the Plastics, is spearheaded by antagonist Regina George, a rich, fashionable girl who keeps herself in power using psychological tactics of influence. Her placement is threatened when a new student named Katie Heron assimilates into the Plastics. Then, upon the advice of her other friends, Katie attempts to discredit and disband Regina's social group. Power is one of the concepts present in McClellan's theory of needs, and it's clear that Regina's main goal is to maintain power among her classmates. So, Regina's tactics to maintain this power over her classmates can sort of be divided into two main subgroups. The first being referent power, and the second being coercive power. Referent power refers to power over others due to desirable personal qualities of a leader. In this case, Regina George is very rich, very popular. She's stylish, attractive. She comes off as very glamorous. And she upholds this image through impression management, which is one of the influence tactics present in corporate culture and organizational culture. So she's constantly worried about her weight.
I really want to lose 3 pounds.
Yeah, there's some weird ingredient in them that's not legal in the US yet.
Ephedrine?
No,
Phentermine.
no.
She's always meticulously dressed, has expensive purses, an expensive car, and even when she was sabotaged and had one of her tank tops cut up, she turned it into a fashion trend that other people would want to emulate. So, aside from her physical characteristics, she also uses emotional measures to basically control her image. Her general impression can come off as very angry, very nasty, and condescending, but she uses some measures to sort of balance out this impression of herself. Her on again, off again boyfriend is Aaron Samuels, who is generally an all American stereotypical kind hearted jock. He's a smart guy. He helps Katie with her math homework. He's a valuable asset to have under Regina's wing. And it becomes clear that she's not really that into him because she has other people that she's fooling around with and seeing. But she uses him as sort of a softener, a softening agent to an extent, to make her seem a little more human. At the same time, we also hear these sort of crazy stories and rumors that come from classmates.
Regina George is flawless. She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus.
I hear her hair is insured for $10,000.
I hear she does car commercials in Japan.
Her favorite movie is Varsity Blues.
One time she met John Stamos on a plane.
And he told her she was pretty.
One time, she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
And this aspect sort of dehumanizes her and turns her more into a mythical figure who is sort of elusive and is above everyone else. She also knows just when to be nice to people to get what she wants, and she uses her charisma and manipulative tactics to also balance out her condescension. If you consider the emotional intelligence hierarchy about the management of your own and others' emotions, it almost seems like Regina George has more skill in regulating other people's emotions than regulating her own. She herself seems to be very susceptible to anger and outbursts, but she's skilled at identifying and manipulating the emotional needs of others. So whether or not that violates the hierarchical theory of emotional management is up for debate. So all of these conflicting roles and perceptions, condescending versus sweet, single girl versus girlfriend, all these roles create sort of a confused, mystical atmosphere that a lot of dictators and people in power thrive on as an effort to not be perceived as a vulnerable, fallible human being. So aside from her referent power, she also uses a lot of coercive power. And this means that within her social circle, she has the ability to grant meaningful punishments onto others. The most obvious example of this punishment system is the amount of unnecessary rules and guidelines that she orders the girls within her plastics group to follow.
You can't wear a tank top 2 days in a row, and you can only wear your hair in a ponytail once a week. So I guess you pick today. Oh, and we only wear jeans or track pants on Fridays. Now, if you break any of these rules, you can't sit with us at lunch. Well, I mean, not just you, like, any of us. Okay, like, if I was wearing jeans today, I would be sitting over there with the art freaks.
So as we can see, the punishment for not following these rules is to either be temporarily exiled from the table and made to sit somewhere else, or possibly to be completely exiled from the group. There's a lot of social ridicule that Regina has the potential to inflict on people. And we actually see these rules backfire on her when she breaks one herself.
You're wearing sweatpants. It's Monday.
So? So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us.
Whatever. Those rules aren't real.
You can't sit with us!
The reason why she actually violated this rule was due to the sabotage of weight gain that Katie put her through in an attempt to discredit her physical image and therefore her referent power.
These sweatpants are all that fits me right now.
A more subtle use of coercive power that comes naturally to Regina is just being assertive and condescending.
That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
People forget about her because she's such a slut.
Oh my god, it's her dream come true, diving into a big pile of girls.
So the pivotal point or the breaking point of the movie has to do with the information inside the burn book and the influence tactic of informational control. So the burn book is basically this journal that Regina and the rest of the plastics use as a bonding activity to make fun of other students in private and attach them to sort of nasty rumors that may or may not be true. But once Regina figures out that Katie is attempting to dethrone her and discredit her and expose her sort of tyrannical ways and influence tactics, Regina disseminates the contents of the burn book to all the students. So Regina successfully frames Katie for creating this nasty burn book. She does this by creating an entry that victimizes herself in an attempt to remove the perception of blame away from her. So when the principal finds out that her name was also in the book, he absolves her from being a suspect. Simultaneously, the entire school sort of erupts into a riot. The entire school basically confesses to having felt
personally victimized by Regina George.
The impression that comes out of this event is a negative one for both Regina and Katie. So in the tale of these two rivals, basically nobody wins. At the end of the movie, during the spring fling, Katie gives a speech in order to manage the negative impressions of her. She sort of mends things with Regina, and they formally disband the group by the end of the school year. And so the movie sort of ends on this happier note that everyone can coexist and that the clique environment within the high school wasn't really necessary. So to summarize, Regina George wields her referent power and idealized influence by tactics such as impression management, coalition formation, and management of others' emotions. And she also wields coercive power by creating unnecessary rules and punishments, her general assertive and condescending nature, and control of information. The high school sort of serves as a microcosm of the larger world and the social spheres that exist within it, like corporations, political environments, and social groups where influence and manipulation are consistently at play. So it's good that this movie makes these tactics a bit more immediately recognizable to younger people who may be more susceptible to these tactics or maybe struggling themselves to fit in high school. And studying them and outlining them and presenting them clearly is also a good way to identify the tactics within one's own personal life.